Good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's Arts and Culture Grants Information webinar. Before we get started, I have a couple of notes to share with you. Your microphones will be on mute throughout the session. However, feel free to send any questions via text to Michelle, and we will answer them throughout the webinar. We will also have specific designated times for questions throughout the presentation. A recording of this webinar will be made available within a couple of days on our website. For those of you who'd like to share or review, a handout has been mailed to you by Michelle that includes all the information we will discuss with you today. Okay. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce who is with me in the room. And with me, I have myself, which is, I'm Calvin Alfaro, and with me is Michelle Murphy. Our Senior Program Officer, Sandra Flores, is not able to make this meeting. Also, a special guest is joining us from the James Irvine Foundation, Senior Program Officer for the Arts, Rick Noguchi. He is in partnership with us for a pilot project funding priority that we will discuss later in this webinar. Rick will be available to field any questions regarding that funding priority, if there are any. Before we get started, we also like to provide you some context as to who the Fresno Regional Foundation is. We are a community benefit organization. We have been around since 1966, and since then we have grown considerably. We are up to about dollars in assets, and our regional footprint includes Fresno, Madera, Mariposa, Merced, Kings, and Tulare counties. Having stated the foundation's assets, I always like to provide some context to that. The assets are comprised of multiple fund types and support organizations. The grant making, the competitive grant making, which is for what you're here today, is a small sliver of the assets that the foundation has. Last year we had a $1.7 million budget, and this year we have the same amount for competitive grant making. We have 5 separate competitive grant cycles this year. We are primarily going to talk about arts and culture, but I thought I'd share our continued progress and high impact, supporting children, which is supporting children and families 0 to 8 participants like their grades, our commitment to the environment, to teen pregnancy prevention, and our youth grant cycle has now become college access, college readiness access and attendance. If you'd like more information on any of those grant cycles, all that is available on our website. We're going to do a couple of poll questions to gauge who the audience is in the room. And so Michelle is setting those up right now. The first question is, will this be the first time that you are applying to FRF? So please click on your response, and we will wait a couple of seconds for everybody to respond. We're at 63% of you have voted. Great, and we are just about to close it. And let's go ahead and close it. So it looks like 69% of you, this isn't your first time applying, and only 15% of you is the first time applying, and 15% of you are not sure. So we'll talk about what all those mean. We have some changes to the application process. We're using new systems, so those of you that have applied to us in the past, you have some new information for you. The second question is, which funding priority are you interested in applying for? If you haven't read the funding priorities on the website, that's okay. But for those of you that have, if you know which one you're considering applying, we'd be interested to know. And we're waiting for some votes to come in. We're at half of you have voted so far. 60%. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and close it. We've got overwhelming majority of you, almost 80%, applying to the traditional arts and culture funding priority, and about 21% to the arts engagement pilot projects. Last question is the type of community you serve, if it's urban, rural, or both. And we'll wait for responses to come in. And we're going to start to close it. Many of you, 63% of you, serve both urban and rural, and we have a couple of organizations who are specific to urban or rural. Let's go ahead and go on. So the agenda for today includes 5 specific items that we will discuss. 1 is discussing the funding priorities. 2, we will discuss the reporting requirements to the Fresno Regional Foundation should you receive funding. We're going to talk about FLUXX and how that changes given some of your experiences with Olga and moving forward. And then we're going to give you some final tips on applying. And lastly, we'll have a specific time for questions at the end. But remember, feel free to ask any question throughout the webinar. So once again, we have 2 specific funding priorities that we will discuss. We'll begin with the arts and culture. For the arts and culture grant cycle, we have $200,000 total available for re-granting. And there are 4 specific goals to fund that the Board of Directors has approved this year. And for those of you that applied last year or were aware of the arts and culture grant cycle last year, some of these may seem familiar. Number 1, supporting culturally relevant art forms that reflect and serve the Central San Joaquin Valley's diverse populations and that engage underserved communities is a continuing goal to fund from last year. Number 2 is continuing, however, it's been expanded or broadened. Last year was focused specifically on supporting arts and culture activities that strengthen academic success. This year has been broadened to include academic or life skills. Number 3 is a new one, and we've actually borrowed from our partnership with the James Irvin Foundation. We're seeking to fund projects that innovative projects or programs that reach or engage broader audiences in new ways or new places. And lastly, number 4, again, is brand new this year. We are looking to support historical societies and arts and culture and public organizations in projects that capture the rich histories across the region. We have 2 separate types of funding ranges. So goals to fund 1, 2, and 3, as you see on the screen, have a specific range from $10,000 to $55,000. And there is 150 of the 200 available for goals to fund 1, 2, and 3. All projects will be 1 year in duration. And due to donor restrictions, these grants will be for organizations serving Fresno County specifically. For those of you that have participated in this webinar last year, you may remember that oftentimes our committee likes to award a large grant. There is no designation like that with this range. They don't anticipate having just one large $55,000 grant and a few smaller ones. It is going to be a range. So it is open for what organizations want to share and bring to the committee within those ranges. For goals to fund number 4, which is supporting historical societies, arts and culture, and public organizations and projects that capture the rich history of our region, we have allocated $50,000, and their grant ranges are much smaller. They're between $2,500 and $7,500 for 1 year in duration. These projects, this goal to fund is open to all 6 counties of the Fresno Regional Foundation, and we are being mindful of having a maximum of $25,000 specifically allocated for supporting organizations outside of Fresno County. At this point, I'd like to pause and see if there are any questions with regards to the goals to fund for the arts and culture grant cycle. And if not, we will go ahead and move on to the next section. So the selection criteria, again, all this information is available on your handout and is available on the website. However, I'm going to share some of the background around how we came up with a selection criteria for the Arts and Culture Grant Cycle. The Fresno Regional Foundation values collaboration with other agencies for greater results, and thus we've embraced the collective impact framework for collaboration in the social sector. We believe that working together in this way is going to contribute to greater sustainability and community change. So the selection criteria will reflect that. I'm going to show you a quick 2-minute video to share what the collective impact framework is. And here we go.
The number and complexity of challenges facing our world can be overwhelming. When individual organizations attempt to tackle the most daunting problems, success stories are all too rare. Many innovative approaches have been tried, too few have worked. However, when organizations work together under the right conditions, they can accomplish great things. One particularly effective means of collaboration is collective impact. Using the collective impact approach, a number of complex social challenges have been addressed, and some remarkable results have been achieved. Youth incarcerations dropped by 45% in just 3 years, with no change in public safety, improving the lives of thousands of youths. 6,000 public housing residents were placed in new jobs during the recession. More than 1,000 acres were restored and over 280 million pounds of pollution voluntarily reduced to conserve and restore a river. Organizations utilizing a collective impact approach do the following: agree to a common goal, agree to track progress in the same way, which allows for continuous improvement, do what each does best while identifying new ways to work together, have consistent communication, and finally, have skilled and dedicated resources to support ongoing efforts. The world's toughest challenges aren't going away. In fact, many experts predict they will continue to improve an approach, helping organizations work together to move mountains.
Great. That was a quick overview of collective impact. And as I will show you in just a second, we have 8 selection criteria on 2 slides that reflect the criteria identified in the collective impact framework. So these are elements that incorporated into your proposal will help your proposal receive a higher ranking by the committee. So the committee will be looking for data supporting your program's impact, that the program is customized to target populations, that the organization has a proven expertise in the field of work, and that the organization has the capacity, a strong organizational capacity. We'll be looking for a strong rationale for the program or for the approach, and we'll be looking for integration with other programs, organizations, and systems throughout a shared vision, shared measurements, constant communication, and building on the services and strengths of other stakeholders. We'll also be looking for how this program shares or engages with broader audiences, and projects that take advantage of the pace, ease, and participation afforded by technology. One tip that we provide after our meetings with organizations who were not funded has been that these items should really be, when you're reviewing your proposal before you submit it, it should really stand out as to how these criteria may apply to your organization. And not all of these will apply to every single organization. But when the committee reviews these, it's not just enough to say, take for example, number 1, our organization has the data that supports impact. We want to know what exactly does that look like. In the past couple of years, we've funded Youth Orchestras of Fresno. they are working directly with the school district to get student-level data on the academic performance and changes in behavior based on participation on the program. And so that's how data is helping that program demonstrate its impact. This may be different for you, and data such as that may not be applicable to your program, but again, there's 8 selection criteria, and whatever applies to you, making sure that you demonstrate it in your proposal. The next section we're going to talk about is the pilot projects, and this is a partnership with the James Irvine Foundation. And so to give you a little bit of background, the James Irvine Foundation launched their new grant-making strategy or refinement to their strategy last year. And with that, they are looking to really understand the way that people are engaging in the arts in our communities. And they specifically wanted to focus or look at the Central Valley region. So they partnered with us to identify projects that engage in 3 specific priorities. I'm going to play for you a small video that shares a little bit of background around Irvine's strategy. And then after that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Rick to see if he has any additional thoughts or comments to add before we continue with this strategy.
Hello, I'd like to share a little background information about the refinements we're making to our arts funding here at the James Irvine Foundation. While our specific priorities are still in development, we wanted to preview the key ideas with you. Our arts program refinements reinforce the Irvine Foundation's ongoing commitment to the arts, constant since our founding in 1930.
If the video is not playing for all of you, please let Michelle know. This video will be made available on the website as well.
This commitment is rooted in our belief that vibrant, successful, and inclusive societies have access, and that kind of access promises the cultural vitality we envision for California. As we have spent the past year exploring how best to make this vision a reality, it has become clear to us that the arts sector is experiencing major shifts, due largely to demographic and technological change. Californians are engaging in the arts differently. The new goal of our arts program is to promote engagement in the arts for all Californians, the kind that embraces and advances the diverse ways that we experience the arts, and that strengthens our ability to thrive together in this dynamic and socially complex state. Our principal partners for achieving this will be arts organizations who will use our funding to strengthen their capacity to adapt to demographic and technological change. We'll support new and current grantee partners who want to increase their ability to engage Californians in the arts by exploring who engages, how they're engaging, and where that engagement takes place. We know the arts community in California faces big challenges, so we're focusing on how we can best support a network of arts organizations to navigate both those challenges and the opportunities ahead. We believe that this emphasis on promoting engagement will ensure that the arts in California remain vibrant, relevant, and accessible to everyone. To those of you who know Irvine's current arts grant making, much of this will seem familiar. In fact, this arts program refinement is actually more of an evolution, as many of the organizations we currently support are already experimenting with just this sort of work. We look forward to our continuing partnership with them and with others that are shifting to meet the demands of their changing environment. The arts field should become stronger because of that. To learn more about our arts grant making, please visit our website as we develop specific initiatives and further articulate our plans.
It looks like we may have had issues with the video. On our follow-up communication with all of you, we will be sharing the links to those videos, and they will be made available on our website. Rick, I believe you have access to your phone to speak on the phone. If you have any thoughts or comments that you'd like to share with everybody. Hi, Rick.
Can you hear me, Calvin?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. First of all, just want to thank you and the Fresno Regional Foundation for partnering with the James Irvine Foundation. As you might know, the San Joaquin Valley is one of our priority regions, and so we're very interested in being able to support nonprofit arts organizations in that region. And by partnering with the Regional Foundation, this opportunity is specifically geared towards nonprofit arts organizations with operating budgets under $100,000 annually. So I just wanted to make that point, and then also emphasize for this opportunity, that we're looking for pilot projects or for experiments. And we really want organizations to take a look at these three pathways of who is engaging in the arts, particularly more diverse ethnic populations, as well as low-income populations, and then also taking into consideration how people are engaging. So moving people beyond observational experiences to more active participation. And then thirdly, where engagement is taking place. And so we know that more and more people are not going to typical arts venues to engage in the arts, but they're engaging in arts in other places. And so using those three pathways and developing an experiment, something that's different from what the organization typically does, is what we'll be looking for in this opportunity.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Rick. And we are very grateful to partner with the James Irvine Foundation for this as well.
Great.
We're going to dive into what a little further as to what those three pathways that Rick described look like. But before we do, there is one additional item that we are being mindful to emphasize throughout this presentation, and that is that all funded projects must participate in at least one public presentation. This public presentation is one that the Fresno Regional Foundation hosts. Also, this public presentation will be outside of the scope of work that the organization or individual artist submits to the foundation for consideration for funding. I'll give you an example. You may have heard of the mariachi opera we recently had at the end of last year. We had a mariachi opera perform at Oval Park in Visalia. That was a project funded through this funding priority. That presentation was put together by the Fresno Regional Foundation staff, and the mariachi opera participated in it. They have other performances that they're doing for their scope of their work that they were funded for. So let's take a look at what these three distinct pathways mean, or what they say. So as Rick suggested, these projects are looking to engage low-income and or ethnically diverse populations that have traditionally been underserved by arts nonprofits. Expand the ways that communities engage in the art by making or practicing art, including the use of digital technology to produce or curate art. And advance the use of non-traditional spaces for arts engagement, specifically in regions with few arts-specific venues. The mariachi opera that we had last year was a specific example of this non-traditional space. Oval Park does not have the infrastructure to have a performance of that type. And so it was essential for us to provide the infrastructure to be able to do that. Traditionally, that type of performance happens in brick and mortar buildings. And so non-traditional spaces is taking it out of those traditional spaces. The way that, number two, the way that communities engage in the arts, the James Irvine Foundation is also looking at the ways in which people engage in the arts. We know that there are shifts in demographics and people are practicing art differently. But we know that the arts environment is vibrant. There's arts activities happening everywhere. People are having quinceañeras, people are having their block parties in their neighborhoods. Those are all forms of arts, and so they're engaging differently. Some of the ways that people have engaged through the projects that we funded last year are through helping to create art. We funded Creative Fresno to create different murals representative of the region. and they have taken them to different community events, and participants of those other events have come and participated and created the drawing for each specific panel. So we have $50,000 available for this partnership with the James Weber Foundation. We are continuing the work from last year. The grant ranges are between $1,000 and $10,000 for 1 year in duration. And these grant opportunities are available to all 6 counties of the Fresno Regional Foundation's footprint. I'm going to reemphasize that all funded projects will participate in a public presentation developed and hosted by the Fresno Regional Foundation, and that these public presentations are outside of the scope of work submitted by the applicant for consideration. Also, as Rick mentioned, there are specific requirements for eligibility for these grants. We are specifically targeting organizations, artists, collectives, community groups, or individual artists with fiscal agents with a budget of $100,000 or less. With this $100,000 or less criteria, the fiscal agent who is representing a community group or individual or an artist collective can have an excess over $100,000 in budgets, but the fiscal agent can, not the organization conducting the project. The focus for these projects is on audience engagement and experiences. And the projects will pilot new activities to deepen the engagement of participants in new ways. Again, we continue with the eligibility here. Grants will not fund existing projects, meaning, as Rick was mentioning, programs that are in existence already with an organization would not qualify. Those are existing projects. These are for experimentation, trying to engage different audiences in different ways. The projects need to serve microcultural groups. Projects need to have a strong cultural emphasis. And there is a requirement to collect data on the participants, on audiences, and the way that they engage. Again, all this data is used to inform the James Weber Foundation and the Fresno Regional Foundation as to how people are engaging in the arts, where they're engaging in the arts, and how these shifts in demographics are influencing those two. And again, the emphasis on participating in a public presentation that the Fresno Regional Foundation will host in either 2015 or 2016. We have 4 selection criteria. These criteria will help your proposal receive a higher ranking. And so projects that take advantage of the pace, ease, and participation afforded by technology. Projects that help arts and culture organizations become relevant in diverse communities. And projects that reach new audiences for first-time experiences. And projects in rural communities, if you can incorporate those elements into your proposal as part of your scope of work, they will help the committee provide a higher ranking to your proposal. At this time, I'd like to see if there are any questions around these. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. The question is, does individual artists need to be an organization, or can they be individual artists as the employee of the fiscal agent? As an employee of the fiscal agent, I'm not sure. I think I need a little bit more clarity on the question. Individual artists can apply for funding. They have to have a fiscal agent. I think the word that's throwing me off on that question is the employee part. If you're an individual artist and you'd like to apply for this type of work, you can ask, an organization that you trust to be your fiscal agent. Basically, they will manage the grant, and they have a 501c3 status to be able to do that. And they will ensure all expenses are paid accordingly, according to the grant and such and so forth. So individual artists can apply and can receive funding in that way. Any other questions? what do you mean by the use of technology? By communication to each other or by target group using technology? Okay. So projects that take advantage of the pace, ease, and participation afforded by technology. Rick, I don't know if you have any thoughts around this, but for us, being able to use technology to reach new audiences may include some innovative things, like take, for example, something I came across recently, an application that allows individuals to download it to their phone, and if they're getting closer to a specific geographic location, they hear a variety of different music. So if they're far away from it, they hear maybe some of the instruments, and as they get close to the specific monument, then they are able to hear the full orchestra playing over their phone. And so that's a way that individuals can participate and engage in the arts using technology.
Kelvin?
More? Yes, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think what we're looking for is just any innovative and creative ways that people might incorporate technology to reach people or to engage them in different ways. So it's really just, you know, another example might be using GoPro systems, so that, you know, you might have a performance where one of the performers has a GoPro camera on, and then that's projected somewhere else where an audience somewhere else can watch it on a bigger screen. So I think we're just looking for innovative ways to use technology.
Yes. And last year, we actually funded a very innovative project. We funded an artist who is doing a confessional booth where the confessions are recorded and then they are scrambled, and the scrambled confession is then used to create art type projects, including printed tees, paper mache structures, and different experiences. Rick, the question with regards to the artist being an employee, I think maybe you can provide some insight. The person asking the question provided some more clarity. He states the artist, for example, to work with a youth must be screened by the organization's HR process, fingerprinting, etc. If they are then added as an employee, we can pay them hourly. If non-employee, we have to pay them a stipend. Does it matter how it's done?
Say that again. I'm a little confused still.
So I think he's indicating that the way that if an artist is working with youth, that the actually I think I can answer this question.
Okay.
If an artist is applying to the foundation, they are going to be leading the work, not the fiscal agent. The fiscal agent only manages the grant. So the fiscal agent would pay whatever resources the artist needs to complete their work. They wouldn't necessarily manage how the project is done or provide oversight to the artist on how that should be done. They are only providing the service of managing the grant for them as a 501c3 organization. And if you have further questions on that question, Jerry, we can discuss offline a little bit more. Can the organization apply for both arts and culture grant? Another question, can an organization apply for both arts and culture grants and for a pilot project? At this time, an organization would need to pick one or the other of the funding priorities, and they would not be able to submit two proposals, one for each funding priority. Okay. We're going to go ahead and continue. If there are any more questions, we'll continue answering them over chat, and if not, we will dive into them a little bit deeper later. I want to talk a little bit about the reporting requirements for the Fresno Regional Foundation. This is something that is very, actually, before that, there are specific requirements to applying to the foundation. These are the types of organizations we serve, and they must provide services in our region. I'm not going to dive into this too much. It's all available on our website. We measure the financial health of the organization through review of internal and external financial documents, including the IRS 990, the operational budget of the organization, and the composition of the board. Again, all these criteria are available on the website for further examination. The restrictions, we will not consider grant requests for the following: for previously incurred expenses, fundraising for one organization by another, for endowments, or for institutions that limit their services to persons of a single religious sect or denomination. And we do not consider grant requests to individuals. I want to provide some clarity here. Individual artists can apply and can receive funding, but they must have a fiscal agent. We do not provide grants to individuals on their own. We're going to skip that one for now. Let's go into the reporting requirements. The reporting requirements are important to the Fresno Regional Foundation as they help us identify how it is that we are moving the needle, what we are doing in the community, and how it matters. When we began this grant-making program in 2008, we began with creating a final report, and we worked backwards to get at what questions we wanted to ask in the application process. So we really encourage organizations to review the final report before they apply, so that they understand what type of data we're asking you to collect. And if you're not collecting that data, there may be a way for you to begin to collect it for the purposes of that report. But it is important that organizations recognize that you should be prepared to comply with the reporting requirements. And the failure to submit a final report will disqualify an organization for future funding requests. We also ask you to share any media context resulting from the grant. We also welcome photos, newsletters, mailing lists for you to share your successes throughout the program. One caveat that I want to share here is that a lot of organizations, or there's walls built between funders and organizations. Organizations strive to put their best foot forward. I like to dispel that myth and just to say that our best learning happens when we fail, and so it is a good learning opportunity for us, and we are open to learning with you. And so while we like to celebrate your successes, we're also open to thinking together and problem solving throughout the year as you progress towards your final report. We use the information that you send and share with us to highlight your work to the community, to donors, and to other funders. One item I'd like to share with you, this is from our data from 2008 to 2014. What you're seeing on the screen is actually the breakdown of demographics of the Central San Joaquin Valley, the region that we serve, as compared to national averages. So as you can see, we have two very predominant ethnic groups, Latino and Caucasian, and we have Asian and African American groups as well as other smaller groups, ethnic groups. When we compare our data of who the Fresno Regional Foundation serves via their grants, we look at a very similar type of graph. The dark green bars on this graph demonstrate the percentages of those individuals as broken down by the same ethnic categories as the national and census data. And you can see that there's actually very somewhat representative of whom resides in these communities. Now we're going to get into steps to applying to the Fresno Regional Foundation. As I mentioned, we have a new grant-making system called FLUXX. We had Olga, a homegrown system that we built on top of our website for the last couple of years. But as we have, many of you have experienced, the limitations of Olga, it was not able to keep up with the demands of both ease of use for you and also for us internally. And so we have transitioned to a new grant-making system called FLUXX. And it's so far it's been a good experience for those that have used it so far. So there are three major steps to applying. One is all organizations, regardless of whether you have applied to us in the past or are a new applicant, will need to register for an account. In just a second, we will navigate to the website itself and show you what that looks like. The next step is you will provide us an update to your OR card. Some of you may know that as the OPF, or Organization Profile Form. The OPF, or the OR card, is the way that the foundation performs due diligence on organizations. So here's where we ask you about your board composition, your contact information for the organization, and you provide us your financial documents, including 990, etc. Lastly, once you have received approval for your OR card for that year, I want to point out that we only require organizations to complete this update once a year. And so if you complete it this year or right now, you can actually be approved to apply to any other grant cycle for the rest of 2015. The last thing I want to share on this is that organizations that have applied to us in the past, all your data will be accessible via FLUXX. For those of you that are new, you'll see a blank form to fill out since it's your first time completing it. But those of you that have applied will have your information available to provide an update. The last step is to actually complete the grant request. And so we'll show you what that looks like. But we have 4 specific questions that we ask for grants, and for over 10,000, we ask a few more questions. So we're going to actually start by going to our homepage. On our homepage, we have the FLUXX login here. You can also find it by going to grantmaking and clicking on FLUXX account login. Here at the home screen, the welcome page, there are 3 items I want to highlight with you. One is for those of you that are new, actually for all of you, you will request an account by clicking the request account button. The 3 pieces of information that we're asking you to fill out is the name of the organization, your first and last name, and email. The rest of the information is optional, and the Fresno Regional Foundation will approve your account and send you a username and password within 24 hours. Once you receive your username and password, you'll have access to the system. However, we understand that passwords can be lost, and so we have the option to retrieve your password here by entering the email address you use to register your account. I'm going to go ahead and log in. So that you can see what that looks like. A couple of things I want to share with you. The navigation menu on the side will give you access to everything you need to be able to complete the 3 steps. You're going to land at an information page that provides you a little bit more detail. The first step you're going to do is update your organization card, which is found under My Organizations. Here you can access any drafts of your proposals, submitted proposals, declined proposals, your active grants if you have any, completed grants, and any reporting that you have to do. To begin a new grant request, you use the New Request button here. Let's go ahead and dive into what it looks like to update your OR card. And so I actually don't have an OR card listed here for this proposal or for this account. So I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and log out and log in as myself. I usually like to use the other account to show you without all the additional features that we see. However, I'm going to go ahead and show you. I clicked on My Organization. I'm clicking on the Fresno Regional Foundation, which is the organization I'm linked to. Before you go any further, I want to highlight the navigation on top. We have the back button, which takes you back. We have the edit button. We have the delete button. We encourage you not to use that button. We have the print button if you want to print a copy of this OR card as a PDF. And the very important one is once you've updated your OR card, you want to make sure that you hit submit. It is not in our hands until you hit submit. So please do so by the deadline. I'm going to go ahead and click on edit here. so you can see what some of this may look like. There's a couple of things I want to point out actually before I edit. One is the OR card status. We emphasize the OR card status because if it is not approved, if your OR card status is anything except approved, it is not eligible to apply for a funding request. And so here you can see all the definitions of what those statuses mean. Anything in a yellow box or red box is meant to provide assistance and guidance and instructions as you complete the application. You will also be able to see frequently asked questions here. What attachments are required? Here you can see the attachments per organization as well as examples of documents that we request. I'm going to click on Edit really quickly. This information has not changed from what we've been asking via Olga. It is very identical to it, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I do want to show you the documents attachment section. This was an issue with our old system, which has been drastically improved. By clicking on the green button, I can open a window to add attachments, and I will go ahead and add a simple file. And as you can see, I can tell the system what type of document it is. I'll say this is my Form 990, and I will start upload. You'll notice the progress there indicating your upload status, and you'll be immediately able to see that the document is attached to your OR card. So again, one last thing, as you work, please save your work. And once you have updated it, please hit submit your OR card so that the program staff can review it. Lastly, we're just going to touch base on the new request. I'm going to begin a new request. Anything in bold are items that you must submit. This essentially works the same as the OR card. Anything in orange is meant to provide you some assistance. And you notice here that OR card. We're really emphasizing this because, again, if it's not approved by the deadline, it is not your organization is not eligible to apply for funding. We drive the point home here again by having the first question be, does your organization have an OR card approved status? This is a small firewall. If you click no, it's going to tell you what steps you need to take. If you click yes, it'll let you continue with the application. So if you want to get started on the application and your OR card is still pending, you can go ahead and start your application and save it by clicking yes on that question. So the questions have not changed. We ask here that you save after you enter the amount that you're requesting, and the reason for that is that the questions will shift depending on the amount requesting. So if you request $10,000 even, then there are only 4 questions that you need to submit. If you request $10,001, then there are additional set of questions that you must complete for your application as well. All this is the same as has been, the same information. One new type of information that we are requesting is for those individuals working with parents. We ask that you collect information around the level of education and the household types for those parents. This is helping to inform our overall grant making in the region. Here are the 4 questions. We also emphasize the question specifically on if your organization has read the final report and understands the way that you will collect the information. Clicking on no will tell you to review the final report, and you'll get a quick link to what that final report looks like. Clicking yes will ask you to describe how your organization plans to collect that data for the final report. At this point, I believe I've gone through everything I wanted to share on this process. If we have any questions, I'll be willing to take those at this time. Right. So Michelle just wanted me to reemphasize that if you are an existing grantee of ours or have applied to us in the past, your information has been transferred over from Olga into our new FLUXX grant making system. But you still need to register for an account. If there are no questions at this time, I'm going to go ahead and provide the tips for using FLUXX and for applying to the Fresno Regional Foundation. So again, orange boxes provide instructions and information. Yellow boxes provide frequently asked questions. All fields are required to apply to submit your request. Fields in bold are required to save. We encourage you to save often. We don't have that 20-minute timer that caused so much stress in our old system. But we still encourage you to save, as there are always difficulties using technology, so saving often is a good thing. There is a print to PDF button that allows you to get a copy of your entire org card or proposal. When we ask for numerical values, please don't enter anything except numbers. Don't enter symbols. So when we ask you the amount you're requesting, just enter the numbers themselves. In the request, there is a budget template that is required, and there are two spreadsheets within that budget template. One is the budget line item. You will tell us what you need the money for, the amount, and if there are matching dollars. There's also a column for matching dollars and where those matching dollars are coming from. If you request $10,000 and one or more, then you're required to complete both of those spreadsheets within that budget template. The second spreadsheet is the financial history, which asks you to provide information from your 990 for the last 3 to 5 years, depending on the organization's history. The grant amounts that you request need to fall within the ranges, or it will be disqualified. Org card is only needed to be updated once a year. For the org card, if you use a fiscal agent, you need to provide us information and financial documents about both your organization and the fiscal agent. We always encourage you to take your time and give yourself plenty of time to complete all the documentation. If multiple documents asked in the org card are scattered, it may take you more than 24 hours to get all that information. And the last tip is that for a best experience, use the Google Chrome browser. Okay, so Michelle's telling me that there are no questions at this time. Before we wrap this up, I want to open it up to everyone that I am available to provide feedback before your proposal is due to the committee for review. I can be available up to 2 weeks prior to the deadline, which is February 7th. And so, actually, what is the deadline? Oh, let me pull it up. All the deadlines are available on the website and on your handouts. So the org card will be due February 27th. That is exactly 2 weeks before the application is due, March 13th. And so February 27th is the last day that I can receive your proposal for feedback. And what I do with that proposal is I will review it, and I will ask you questions around the same type of questions that the committee will ask in your proposal in our discussion. On the screen, I've pulled up who our committee is. We have 4 individuals, 4 community individuals plus board members. David Laurie, Tamara Lyles, Nikiko Matsumoto, and Miriam Stefanian. All of these individuals, their bios are available on the website. The reason we do that is to provide you some insight as to who your audience is for your proposal. You want to make sure that you tailor your language and your proposal in a way that resonates with that audience, either providing more additional feedback or specific details on your proposal, depending on the audience type. We also provide you a list of who has received funding in the past and the types of proposals that were received funding. So if you'd like to see what some of those successful projects look like, you may want to contact that organization specifically. At this time, we are 5 minutes into our hour. If there are any other questions, I will go ahead and take them at this time.
This is Michelle Murphy. I would just like to add one final thought. As you're going through the application process, there's a few days with the org card and the application deadline. Following that, you will be receiving emails from the program staff, whether it's Kelvin or myself. What we do is we kind of follow up with you following the application and the org card in case there's any information that needs to be updated or anything missing before we send it to the committee. So just be on the lookout for any emails from us. We do try to get it a quick turnaround so we can get it to the committee for their review.
Great. And one last thought, we will notify everyone of their status after April 14th, which is our board meeting. The committee is going to meet before that to provide recommendations to the board, and the board will review them on the 14th. One new thing this year is that our grants reception will not occur within 2 weeks as we have traditionally done it. Grants will be awarded May 19th. So a month after April 14th, that May 19th date may inform when the work will start. And so, that's when we will provide you with the check for the work. And so you may want to tailor your activities after May 19th. And the final reports will be due 1 year after that, which is May 27th of 2016.
We did receive one additional question asking if you can apply for more than one grant cycle at the foundation within a year. You are able to apply for the Arts and Culture grant cycle and still apply for multiple grant cycles later on in the year. For instance, you can apply to the youth or the environment. We do hold no restrictions on the amount of grant cycles that you can apply for.
Great. Rick, did you have any final thoughts before we close this session?
No. Sounds good. You guys did a great job.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Rick, and thank you everyone for your participation. If you have any other further questions, please feel free to email us. Michelle and I will follow up after this webinar with everybody who's participated in the information session yesterday, and those of you participating today with all the resources. A copy of the PowerPoint will be made into a PDF and made available on our website. The video links, the video recording of this webinar will also be posted on our website shortly. You can find all those resources after the Goes to Fund in the Grant Information Session resources section of the Arts and Culture. Again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. Are there any more questions? Okay.